Let's see let's play the video.
Men though all aspire to be like you.
Should young men aspire to work very hard, have no criminal record, become multimillionaires, protect and provide for the women close to them, be sovereign so they can stand up and have their own points of view in face of cancellation, be able to not be mentally intimidated when they go on national TV and there's traps set up for them? Yeah.
he's talking about loser Piers Morgan. He's talking about Piers Morgan trying to set him up.
I believe that confident, strong men who stand up and protect and provide for women are a good thing for the world and a good force for the world. And I don't think that I put a magic spell on anybody. I think there's a whole bunch of men in the world who understands my value. And if men grow up to be like me, you're gonna have a whole bunch of people with no criminal record, dedicated athletes, who protect and provide for the people close to them, are fantastic for the economy. And I'm certainly not the worst influence out here, Piers. You have Little Nas twerking.
Yo, that's so true, man. Like, oh. Yeah, there's like a lot of celebrities and influence out there. Like they're like planting worse idea in people's head than him.
On the devil, on music videos, which our children are digesting.
This kind of messed up. This is, and it's kind of crazy how people are not even talking about actual problem, like actual stuff that are actually being the problematic idea that had been planted in young people's head in our society today.
Jesting. You have drill artists singing about stabbing people to death in the middle of a knife crime epidemic. You have.
Yo, that's true. That's true. A lot of rappers promoting drugs and all this stuff, and you see all these rappers worshiping devils and Satan, like Satanism. Like a lot of like Lil Nas is promoting like, you know, like all this weird stuff with devils and like twerking on like all this you know, wrong stuff. And yeah, he never gets called out, and he never face any backlash for that. He never face any consequences for that. Like those are some pretty like messed up ideas being planted in young people's mind.
Rabid psychopaths on whether the right or the left announcing violence on the other side. You have all these insanities in the world, and because I sit here and say perhaps now you've laid it out and it offended you, I understand.
I didn't say it offended.
Okay, cool.
I just read you the things.
You read things that you said they could be offensive, and some people are offended.
Well, some people definitely were offended.
Absolutely, that's fine.
And honestly, I think some of the things you said.
But this is what I hate about Piers Morgan. He keeps on interrupting his guest. This guy's such a loser, man. Like this guy has such a punchable face. I'm telling you, this loser Piers Morgan has such a punchable face. I'm telling you.
Offensive and misogynist.
Okay, so they offended you. Like I said earlier.
This guy, this face is so punchable, man. Like if I see this face on my punching bag, I'll be the greatest boxer in my entire life.
So they offended you, which is fine. I said they offended you. You interrupted me, and now you're saying they offended you, which is fine. But the point I'm trying to make is this: I'm not the devil. There are certainly worse people than me, and they exist. And I'm saying that my core tenets for the people who don't understand me are self-accountability, so I'm accountable for everything I've ever said. My core tenets are responsibility, so I'm responsible for everything I've said. My core tenets are traditional masculinity to a degree, which involves protecting and providing for women. And I'll make another point here that needs to be said. The number of women who have stood up and stuck up for me is ignored. Thousands of women are making videos saying, I've met Andrew Tate.
Yeah, I see a lot of female creators actually supporting Andrew Tate and saying that, like, there's like worse people out there that are not banned on Twitter. You see people promoting terrorism. There was literally a political leader who said that attacking on a country is okay, like attacking and punishing punishing and destroying a whole country was okay. You see a political leader saying that on Twitter, and he was never banned. You see a lot of as he said, a lot of artists, a lot of rappers promoting drugs and you know, all this violence, but they never get any backlash. And as I'm saying, it's kind of absurd, and it's kind of crazy.
Such a nice guy. I wish I had a man like Andrew Tate who felt responsible to protect and provide for me. You know what? I do belong to my husband. That's why I married him and I love him. We ignore the thousands of women who stood up and stood by me.
It's because I'm telling you, the society is so driven by feminism and all this LGBTQ community that you can't even, the society is getting too soft. They can't handle the truth. That's what I'm saying.
And said everything I said is true. And we're taking a very vocal minority who have taken the things I've said and are pretending to be absolutely and utterly devastated by them for some reason.
All right. Time out.
Pierce had to call timeout.
Time out, because you can't fucking interrupt right now. Because now you cannot interrupt anymore, so you have to just time out, because he's saying the facts right now. That's why. Now he's like, Piers Morgan, like, oh shit, he's saying too many facts, too many things that are making sense. Am I losing a debate? I need to call timeout. Such a loser, Piers Morgan.
Now, because he was getting embarrassed on his own show.
That's true. That's why he had to call out timeout.
Now, if you guys have a favorite quote from this entire interview, feel free to comment it down below so other people can hear it. Now let's get back to the video.
But there was also, I think, quite a disturbing piece that BuzzFeed did. And it talked about the negative impact of young, impressionable male minds when they've read or seen some of the more inflammatory things you've said. And they quoted, for example, Sandy, 22, from Washington. My father's gone from a man who minored in women's studies in college, who was kind and in touch with his emotions, treated all people, men and women around him, with kindness, to a man who says that whenever he sees an effeminate male stranger, he gets an overwhelming urge to murder them. He loves podcasts. He listens to a lot of podcasts.
The hell?
He's listened to Andrew Tate.
Whoa. Let's stop for a second. Let's be professional here, Piers, because you're a professional, as am I. First, she said, did you say that my father went? She said, my father has gone.
Her father.
That's a full-grown man, firstly. So we're talking about my impact on children. You just talked about a full-grown man here. Secondly, I've never talked about murdering effeminate men in anything online ever, in any context ever.
But how is this even related to what they're talking about in the show? He's just bringing up some absurd story with people like with people like being like ridiculously like people doing ridiculously like absurd stuff that has nothing to do with the interview.
So I don't know why they have taken some random person I've never met in the world who's full.
That's what I'm saying. He did, like, they would pick up some random stuff and calling out the action, and like calling the action and trying to blame Andrew Tate that has nothing to do with the situation. Like, they're pulling up some random victim story and then trying to present Andrew Tate as the villain. Like, he was behind all this stuff.
Grown, an adult, and come to their own conclusions who I've never met and lumped his name in with mine. That is absolutely unfair on every level.
It's like saying, it's like murdering some. It's like me murdering a guy. It's like me murdering a guy and saying that, oh, I was influenced by Joe Biden. Would you like blame Joe Biden for my murder? No.
I didn't read this BuzzFeed. I didn't read this BuzzFeed article, but after hearing the first point, I know it's trash. That is complete garbage.
What
to
is
sit and say that I'm the
view?
reason this man believes what he believes.
I've seen a quote from you, and you can tell me what you feel here about this.
Sure.
You talk about people don't want to see men dressed up in dresses. Transgender.
That's not exactly what I said.
What did you say?
I said the reason I am so popular and I'm so famous is that there's a large contingent of men who don't want to wear makeup, who still want to make money, go to the gym, be strong, drive a fast car, be traditionally masculine, and don't want to be shamed for that, and they don't want to be called toxic for that. That is the reason I'm so massively famous.
Bro.
That is what and don't want to be shamed.
Look at his face when he's saying all these facts. Like, his fucking face, like, it's like, oh shit, he's making sense. Like, this looks like he's shitting his pants. Like, this face shows that he's shitting his pants.
For that, and they don't want to be called toxic for that.
Look at his face, man.
That's the reason I'm so massively famous. That is what I said.
What do you think of transgender people?
That's nothing to do with me. I'm not transgender, and I don't understand the issue like they do. They
Are
can
you
do whatever
transphobic? Do you consider yourself that?
Transphobic? What? Afraid?
Well, it kind of, yeah. You have
I don't live in fear, my friend. I have no problem.
Do you have a dislike of transgender people?
I don't know any transgender people.
Do you have a dislike of what they stand for, what they are?
No. Why would I?
I don't know.
That's not my issue.
Do you believe depression is a real thing?
I believe that feeling depressed is real. I don't believe depression as a clinical disease is real, no.
Really?
If you feel depressed, I disagree that you cannot affect it and change your life and take control.
It's like a lot of people are actually taking advantage of the disease depression. Like, in reality, actual people with actual depression are suffering, while some teenagers, they're just sad about something, they start calling themselves depressed, and then that's the excuse to why their life sucks, and the excuse to not being able to do the homework, and like depression has become an excuse for being lazy nowadays, because nowadays people, like these young people, think that being sad is depressed. No, some people are actually suffering from depression, and many people are taking advantage of that.
I'm sorry, I keep it on me regular.